I'm going to show you how to produce just like San Holo. So San Holo tends to work around the 150 BPM range, so that's what we'll be doing today. So I want to make a really big drop for this song. One of his songs I find to be super cool is his song Surface, so I'm going to be taking some inspiration from that song. So let's start off with some chords. So San Holo is all about emotional music, so I wrote a very intense emotional chord progression. Here are the chords I wrote. So instead of having the chords just remain in an 8-bar loop, I have them develop for another 8 bars. For these chords, I make them ascend just to give some more intensity to the drop I'm making. And as usual, next up, we're going to get these chords on some synths. So for my chord layers, I grabbed the good old Illumin Sun Flex patch. This is a great patch I found that makes some really cool layered chords. And on that, I just took those same chords I just wrote. And next up, I grabbed another flex patch, which is Dystopian Lead. And yes, another flex patch. For this one, I used Homecoming with the same chords. And lastly, just for the base of the chords, I got a Serum patch. It is just a saw wave with some unison and the detune turned down just a little bit. And then I just put a little reverb on it. It's that simple. And now all the synths together. So next up, I consolidated those chords just to save some CPU. Since I expect this drop to be pretty big, I'm going to assume my computer's going to have a tough time. So next up, I'm going to make a really fat lead. So for the lead sound, I'm just taking saw waves and I'm soaking them in reverb. And I made a really simple melody that would just go along with the chords. So to process that synth, I'm going to put an OTT compressor on it just to give it a little bit of warmth. Then I'm putting some quarter note sidechain on it just to give it a pulsing feel. Besides that, I'm just EQing out the low end. So here's what it sounds like now. So I consolidated the lead, and then I'm going to move it an octave up and just run it through the same processing chain. And next, I consolidated that lead again and made it another octave up. It sounds a little painful, but it's going to give us a wider sound. So next, I'm going to take the original sound and I'm going to distort it just a crap ton. So I'm distorting it with Trash 2, then I'm also going to distort it with Little Altar Boy. And it sounds like this. This is kind of stupid, but what I'm going to do is move all of these on top of each other, and I'm going to consolidate this. So this is a weird way of layering leads for a big sound, but I think it's kind of cool. Now I want some different harmonics in there. So I snagged a vocal sample, and then I just took a little snippet, which sounds like this. And next up, I'm playing around with this plugin Little Altar Boy. So what this will do is distort it and allow me to easily automate the pitch. And then I'm also cutting off the low end and taking out some resonating frequencies that were annoying me. Here's what that sounds like now. And this is what we have so far. So next up, let's get some drums in. So Cymatics released a free San Holo collaboration pack, and that's not necessary at all to use for this. However, it did give me access to this classic San Holo snare sound. So I went ahead and snagged that just to make the track a bit more genuine. However, feel free to use whatever big snare sounds you can find. So with those drums, I made a really simple pattern. And a lot of San Holo and Bitbird songs in general tend to have a ride going on quarter notes throughout the song. So I went ahead and put that in too. And next up, for the second half of the drop, I wanted to give it some more movement, so I added in these percussion sounds, and here's what they sound like. Now that I have my drums, I sidechained the drums to all of the synths in the track, so it gives it a bit more of a rhythm. So we're missing one important thing, which is the bass. So I took this 808 sample, and then I distorted it a ton, as I usually do. And then I made this bass pattern that follows the chords as well as the kick. And here's what this sounds like. And you can already hear that intensity. And here's what we have so far. And next up, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just gonna make a quick intro. So I wanted to try and replicate the kind of San Holo plucky sound he does in some of his older songs. So what I actually did here is I took an 808 sample, and then in the MIDI, I have it pitched up very, very high. And now a cool trick you can do in FL Studio is if you just click on this icon right here, you can arpeggiate that. And now if I accept that, it will sound like this. Then I added these really simple pad chords. And some really simple drums. Some claps for the build-up. And this little riser. And before the drop, I made the little Bitbird sound. And then throughout the track, I added little fills like this. Or this. And then I made a quick little outro that's the same as the intro, it just uses the drums and bass from the drop. And that's the track. We have a nice wide sounding drop. I would say this song is a bit darker than the song San Holo usually produces, but I think the big drop really matches his feel. Thanks so much for watching. If you feel like you learned something, it would be fantastic if you could like and subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and leave a comment on what I should do next, and the beat is going to play right now.